Hello, and welcome back to your primary source of National League goodness with the National League Natter on the deck. And we are back again. It is Thursday as of recording, and that means we are back with the National League Natter Matchday 16 preview. And joining me always on the previews is my fabulous co-host Lauren. So,
Hi
Lauren, how have
everyone.
you been this week? How have you been keeping and what have you thought of the because we've had two match days in the space of us not being with each other and recording since last time. So have you been keeping an eye over that?
Yeah, it feels like it's been forever since we last called, even though it's only been a week. It's I've been keeping as usual busy, but always having a great time. Yeah, I mean there's been loads of games since we've last seen each other. I kept an eye on it, kept a little eye over it. I always love a midweek game. They're usually my favourite to go to be fair. So yeah, enjoyed having a little listen, a little watch. It's been good.
I think, if I'm being honest, though, I think the football traditionalist inside me got really hurt this week to see the National League try a new sort of tactic and split it over 2 days.
Yeah,
Everyone
on a
knows,
Wednesday.
everyone knows if you have a nighttime game in midweek, it's always a Tuesday night. That's what I've been brought up with. That's what I'm sure you've been brought up with. So I'm not sure about these Tuesday, Wednesday nights. It's not
I
for me,
was
really.
I was a bit intrigued by it. I wasn't expecting a Wednesday week. But yeah, it's always a Tuesday, 7:45. But I mean, I didn't mind it that much. I'm not maybe as big of a traditionalist as you are, but I didn't mind it being split over two. It just meant more days of National League
More football,
football,
yeah.
which is never
Yeah,
a
I guess.
bad thing.
Never a bad thing. So, why don't we start then with a brief look back to Tuesday and Wednesday and dissect some of the biggest talking points? Now, personally, Lauren, I don't think there was many bigger talking points across the 2 days than the York Barnet game, and we knew coming into this game that any of them teams, could have probably won the game, second versus third. But we also knew Barnet were coming in off the back of a shock result, losing the following weekend 3-2 to Solihull Moors, and they had to put it right. And if I'm being honest, it started so well for the bees, um, almost probably too well, I would say. They um, they scored like really early, like super early, um, and then it all just fell apart. It fell apart for Barnet. Barnet levelled just before half time, and then in the second half, I don't know what's happening with Barnet away from home, and especially in the second period of away games. But it seems like they just lose all composure, and then York got the goal to go ahead, and then got an insurance goal to make it 3-1 within the space of 2 minutes. Barnet conceded 2 goals in 2 minutes, which obviously for York now, I think people are really beginning to sort of stand up and take notice and like kind of echo what we said even in the preview shows this year that York can't be underestimated. They are a big force in this division this year. If they could sort out what they needed to sort out, which they have done, they will be up there. And what a result for York first and foremost. But like Barney are, I'm not going to say fall off, and I'm not going to rub it in Chris's face because I know you'll listen. But I think there is a couple of worrying thoughts that are kind of simmering away here. The fact that, of course, they've got 10 wins on the board, 11 wins on the board, whatever it is. And they are still flying and not that far off the top. But they also, if you look at it the other way, we've played 15 games up until this point now, and Barnet have lost a third of them. Which, if you're going for a title, you can't really afford to do that, if I'm being honest. So I think there's problems there for Barnet, but I think it needs addressing before it becomes a bigger issue. Would you agree with that sentiment?
Yeah, I think with a game in general, with you saying underestimating York, I think I might have fallen into that at the beginning of the season, underestimating where York were going to end up being. But they've been on form, really, haven't they? And I think Barnet has started as we thought they would. quite a dominant team. But I feel like they do seem to be dropping off. I hate to say it. And, it might just be a dip in form, but like you say, losing a third of the games at this point, it does feel like something needs to change.
I think, if I'm
feels-
being honest, the thing that's probably saved Barnet and kept them as high as they were, and this is what I said to Chris on Monday when we were dissecting the first loss against Solihull Moors, the fact that they've still not drawn a game is they're probably saving grace in a way. Because you look at that, like, overall, like, the comparison I'm going to use, and yes, I'm going to use Oldham because it's what I know I'm most comfortable talking about, but Oldham's form on paper is probably better than Barnet's form this season in general, as you know, over the 15 games or whatever. But because Oldham have drawn 6 games or 5 games, whatever it is, it doesn't look as impressive. Whereas I think if you win 10 games but lose 5, it's like, oh, at least you're not like they obviously don't play for draws, and it's a bit more exciting to the neutral, I guess. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I like, as you say, literally for a neutral, that is a more appealing thing. And I think as well, it's easy to go like, oh, but at least the points are ticking over if you have a draw, right? Like, you're picking up points here and there. And sometimes, yeah, that is a good thing. But it can become like an easy, oh, we'll pick up a point here, we'll pick up a point there. And then you are playing for that draw. And then you're losing 2 points each week rather than gaining a point. And I think that you've seen that in previous National League campaigns from other teams, that too many draws is what kills you at the end of the day. You can have good form with draws, but they do kill you. Too many of them.
Absolutely. I think there's an old saying, isn't there, that you would rather in a group of 4 games, you would rather lose 2 and win 2 than win 2 and draw 2, and like, I think that kind of comes to that sort of what you were saying there. And I'm not overly worried for Barnet because look, they've got one of the best squads in the division and probably one of the better managers. I don't think he's the best manager in the division, Brennan, but I think he's one of the better managers. So I'm sure they'll be back up and against it, and we'll touch upon it. But they have a difficult assignment this weekend. They are at home to Rochdale, which, if you would have said to me at the start of the season, I would have been saying Rochdale was a difficult assignment. I would have probably killed myself. But we are here. This is a state of play, and I have to be impartial and give them credit. So yeah, I do think that'll be a tough game for Barnet, but it'll be interesting to see how they bounce back from that. But moving on to some other results from Tuesday and Wednesday, carrying on with Tuesday for now. You had Forest Green, who took full advantage of Barnet's slip up by recording a very, very, very comfortable 3-1 home victory against the basement boys, Ebbsfleet. And at this point, I feel like this is, who was it last year where we were every week, we were like, oh, we should just relegate them now. And they ended up getting relegated really early, and I can't remember who it was. Do you remember
Oxford City, was it not?
Oh, that was it. That was Oxford City. Yeah, exactly. I feel like that Ebbsfleet are our Oxford now. In my eyes, and I know it's early, and I know this is probably going to hurt some people, but in my eyes, Ebbsfleet are already gone, and they're kind of just making up the numbers at the minute. So unless something drastic happens, and the thing is, I'm saying this with facts. So Ebbsfleet are already 9 points adrift, Lauren. Like, that's serious behind at this point, and it's a worry, isn't it? But like, they got a new manager in. The new manager's not even been in maybe 2-3 months yet, so you can't exactly be like, oh yeah, sack the manager. But I don't know what the plan is, what the rescue plan is for Ebbsfleet. I think it's a really interesting one. But from a Forest Green point of view, it's professional job done. Obviously, you can only beat what's in front of you, and that meant that the vegan outfit leapfrogged Barnet and York to take the top spot in the division on 33 points from 15 games. They've lost 2 games all season, and yes, one of them was against Oldham. I'm just putting it out there. And look, they're looking strong, aren't they, Forest Green?
Yeah, I mean, I've been a critic of Forest Green, mostly because I saw them play last season and I wasn't a huge fan. But like you say, I mean, they're doing really well in this league. They're looking to go back up like straight away. And did I predict them to do that? I don't think I did at the start of the season. But, they've surprised me. And like you say, I think Ebbsfleet, they're having a bit of a shocker at the moment. And it does feel bad. Like, I remember last season, literally every week we'd be like, I'm really sorry, but Oxford just aren't coming back from this. And 9 points at this point already does feel like a long way to be behind.
Yeah.
Especially because I do think that the league this year is quite strong.
Yeah.
I think that there's not many teams that are like circling the drain, really.
And I think, if we're being honest as well, I think what you just said there is true. And like, you look at your Tamworths, you look at your Maidenheads, you look at, I know Boston are on a bit of a bad run, but early doors Boston look like they're a bit, resolute, a bit ready for the fight, whereas Ebbsfleet at this point don't look like they've got any fight in them, and it's still an early innings in the season. And I think that's a really sort of dangerous position that you need to be in, because I can't imagine what the squad morale must be like at that place at the minute.
Yeah, I think circling the drain is the way to describe it. I think the others are still like clinging on, trying to, fight their way out of it. But it does just feel at the moment like Ebbsfleet are just in a spiral. But that doesn't take anything away from Forest Green at all. I think that they're doing a really good job of just performing well.
I don't know if you remember, but very, very early doors on one of our episode tweets, there was an Ebbsfleet fan that said he just stuck 20 quid on Ebbsfleet to get a top 7 finish, and week upon week that is aging like milk, pretty much. And like, I just pray to God that he didn't waste his money and he didn't actually genuinely believe what he said, because if he did, I don't know where he is, what he's doing now, but he must be hurt. He must be hurt.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, still plenty of time, but I think, I don't know. I'd be astounded if Ebbsfleet got themselves out of the bottom 4 at this point. But obviously plenty of football to play for. But moving on then, I just want to talk about a little bit the final game we'll touch upon for Tuesday. Even though they were big wins for like the likes of Rochdale at home to Halifax in the War of the Roses. That was a big win for Rochdale, especially coming off the defeat to Southend the weekend previous. I think they needed to put it right and get the result, and Jim McNulty's men did that. But obviously, I just want to touch upon the Oldham game very, very briefly, because it started. I watched the game on National League TV, and to be honest, we went 2-0 down inside like 36 minutes, 37 minutes, and I'm thinking, it was one of them where you don't really understand like what you're seeing in front of you in terms of the first goal. Kind of, they took a shot, it hit our defender on the back and looped over the top of the keeper, so you can kind of put that one down and you can think, oh, you know what I mean, like fair enough, you can't do much about that. Then the second goal, they took a shot, the keeper saved it, it bounced off our defender's knee and went in the goal. And at this point, I'm thinking, oh my God, it's just not our night. It's just not
Yeah, it's just one of them days.
It's just not destined to be our night. We're going to lose to a side that were 19th in the league. Like, this is not what we are at the minute. Like, let's sort it out. But luckily, just before the break, the Cameroonian mountain Manny Month got us back into the game. So he scored an own goal and he scored a goal in the right goal in the same half, Lauren. So talk about making an impact. So yeah, he got us back in with a shout just before half time, and then 25 minutes from the time his centre half partner Charlie Raglin rises like a salmon from a corner to nod one in at the back post 2-2, and then you're thinking, come on now, let's find the winner, because I always think the best teams in this division can, overturn deficits and get the winners and whatever else. But he just wasn't meant to be, and we hit the bar, we hit the post, we did everything. I don't know if you've seen the stats, but they are ridiculous. We did everything we could have done, and Maidenhead held resolutely on for the draw. And look, we've had our two probably longest away days back to back with Sutton and Maidenhead in the space of 3 days. So if you would have offered me 4 points from that, still only having 2 defeats on the board, I would have definitely took that. We have a nice 5-point cushion from 8th now, so we're well cemented within them playoff places. And I still think we are one of the most informed teams in the division. That point on Tuesday night will look a lot more handsome and a lot more important if we can win at home this weekend to Dagenham and Redbridge, one of Lauren's favourites. So yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy enough with the point. Obviously, I would have liked the 3, and I think we would have deserved the 3. But to come back from 2-0 down away from home shows a lot of character and resilience, doesn't it?
Definitely.
But moving on then, and there's only really one talking point for me that I want to talk about on Wednesday before we start previewing. It was the relegation 6-pointer that me and Chris looked very briefly ahead to on the show on Monday, and we spoke about Wealdstone versus Braintree. And now this result, I'll be honest, it went the opposite way. I was looking at Wealdstone, and a bit like Ebbsfleet, I was thinking, oh my god, they're in so much trouble. So out of 15 games, they've won 2, drawn 5, lost 8, and Wealdstone are still 4 points adrift. But at one point last night, they were 2-1 down to Braintree, and they could have been 7 points adrift. So they managed to turn the game around and actually win this game 3-2. And it was thanks to the hard work and the goals of I'm not going to say current but on loan Oldham striker and ex-Stockport County striker Alex Reid, who is, like I just said, on loan from Oldham at Wealdstone till January, has carried on his fine goal-scoring form for Wealdstone. I think he got a debut hat-trick in the FA Cup, and he scored a goal last night to help them get back on level terms and then eventually go and win the game. But for me, I think we both have opinions on Alex Reid a little bit. I know Oldham fans will be looking at his goal-scoring record and thinking, oh my God, have we made a mistake here? But I genuinely don't think we do, because for as much as his Instagram lives and how much of a ladies' man he likes to think he is, it entertains me. I think sometimes he's too social media. What's the word? Like, he's too bothered about his social media presence rather than trying to put the hard work in to be a footballer, which he'll probably have different opinions, and that's fine. But look, you can't argue with it. He's scoring goals at the team that he's at on loan now and trying to help them survive. But I think there is a difference, and no disrespect to Wealdstone, even though we're in the same division, I think there is a difference in level and expectation playing for a team like Wealdstone battling relegation every week to playing for a team like Oldham, who get 8,000 or 9,000 fans in a Boundary Park and expect to get out of this league, So I think maybe that's where the difference is. But you can't knock it. But I wouldn't say we're missing him either. So it's a bit of a catch-22, really. I said that was the last game I was going to speak about from last night. I just remembered there was something we were going to touch upon. And it was Woking losing to Solihull Moors 2-1 after taking the lead. And now this is 3 wins on the spin for Solihull after a very, very faltering start now. And they've actually managed to leapfrog Halifax with Halifax's loss to Rochdale on Tuesday and their win last night. And Solihull Moors are back in the 7th spot. So that playoff picture is looking a bit more traditional now with some of your bigger teams in them slots, I think, Lauren. But the one thing I wanted to talk about from this game is something I've never really seen before: a substitute getting sent off the pitch before he even got on the pitch. And this was what happened to Woking's Charlie Kendall. Now, I've seen the highlights, and it's the most blatant red card you've ever seen, and it makes you question. I don't really know what goes through a footballer's head when they make decisions like this. So Solihull Moors have got a free kick, and he stepped onto the field and threatened and made gestures to kick the ball away as Solihull are trying to take the free kick. And the referee, fair play to him, has come over, had none of it, and sent him off. But we were just speaking. I've never known anything like this. I've never seen anything like this before. So I don't actually know where the advantage for Solihull Moors was or was supposed to be last night. Because obviously it was still 11 versus 11, unless I'm being completely stupid and there's a different rule for it. I don't know. If there is, please educate me. But yeah, it was still 11 versus 11 as far as I'm concerned. So where was the advantage for Solihull? But they didn't.
Because I know with like coaching staff and stuff, if they get carded, they have to go like in the changing rooms, right? Like they can't help with the game. And I guess the only disadvantage that gave was the fact that then the player couldn't be chosen to go on later on in the game, right? Surely they can't get subbed on at some point. But like there's not that big of like that's not as big as losing your coach or losing a player physically on the pitch. Like obviously you can't then change, you can't then put the striker back on the pitch, but it's not that big of a impact for the game at hand.
Maybe there should be maybe we should create a rule and take it to the National League. I've just thought of this. What should happen if something like that happens is the team that gets the substitute red carded that hasn't been on the field yet loses an additional substitution spot. So like you can make is it 5 substitutions this year? I think you could only maybe make 4 if something like that happened. I think that would then if somebody got an injury or it would cut out player faking and injury faking a little bit and time wasting, I guess. So maybe that is something that they could look into. But yeah, I don't really see the point of that because I don't see where Solihull Moors gained the advantage from, albeit they didn't need the advantage, I'm guessing. But that is our very quick but brief rundown of Tuesday and Wednesday nights action. And just to finish off the review side of the show, Lauren, do you want to take us right back to Saturday and give us your Loz's game of the week, which I believe was Wealdstone versus Yeovil?
Yeah, I mean, I'll do a very, very brief one. It was a game that happened on Saturday. No, not that brief. Not that brief.
Outstanding analysis.
I know exactly. I hope you enjoyed that funny joke from me. No, it was, we went into this game thinking that Yeovil will win. Obviously, Wealdstone were having a bit of a dip. And that's kind of exactly what we got. Wealdstone looked to have like a break right at the beginning. But it was wide. It wasn't anything that was going to come from it. And then, we ended up having 3 goals. 1 in the first half, 2 in the second, all 3 Wealdstone. They looked dominant really in the end. Unsurprising, basically. Wealdstone they didn't look like they were going to get anything from this game. And, they were winless in 9 games. We weren't really expecting anything else. But Yeovil just seemed the more dominant of the teams, always looked to score. And it was, there were no controversial decisions, really. It looked like a solid game, solid performance from the ref. And, ended up a 3-0 win away for Yeovil.
I mean, Yeovil are the team that have really sort of impressed me, and I don't like to flex my football knowledge, but I've said all season long that Yeovil are a big side, and like I remember Chris early doors, he was like, yeah, but they've just come up, they're going to struggle this year, and I was like, no, Yeovil are big for this division, they'll find the feet, and they are only 2 points behind playoff pace at the minute, and for a team that has only just come up, even though they have their history and prestige of being an EFL side, I think it is a very, very good start for them, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I really like Yeovil as a team. Not that I'm particularly biased, but I do think that this season they are doing probably better than people would expect, purely because they have just come up. And if you have a look at the other teams that have come up, they're maybe not doing as well as expected. Although some, I mean, let's have a quick look at the table now. I mean, Tamworth are doing pretty good to say they've just come up, but Yeovil, like in ninth, just outside the playoffs places, like they're looking sharp. I'm really impressed, and I didn't really expect anything else against Wealdstone, which sounds a bit cruel, but Wealdstone are just, struggling at the moment. I mean, they did just win their last game, but before then they were having a bit of a nightmare. So
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, so and nothing to report from the referee, did you say?
Yeah, nothing to report from the referee. I mean, there weren't any big decisions that needed to be had, really. There were no sort of penalty shouts or things that just seemed, there were no big cardings or anything like that. I think it was just, thought it was fine. Did a good job.
Refereeing performance. Just what we like. No controversy.
We've not had any particularly bad ones recently, other than last week's game where there was a bit of a dodgy offside goal that was given. The refs have been doing not too bad for Loz's games of the week. This is like National League level, which
You've definitely just funked it now, Loz. There's going to be a rotter in your next game of the week.
Well, in which case, my review will be more exciting. So there'll be more.
Did you? By the way, for those that can't see the screen right now, Loz just touched her head for touching wood because obviously she's not got a brain. It's a bit dense in there. It's a bit hollow, so that's why she did it.
Exactly.
But right, so let's do what people have come here for, and let's do a full rundown of this week's game week, shall we?
Let's do it.
So, top to bottom, I love doing this bit. I feel like I'm on. Remember when we were younger, right? And we used to come home from the football and you used to get the classified football results. This is my version of that, just reading out the fixtures. I love doing it. So, from top to bottom, we have Barnet versus Rochdale, Braintree versus Sutton United, Eastleigh versus Boston United, Ebbsfleet United versus Wealdstone in another massive 6-pointer at the bottom end of the table, you would imagine. Gateshead versus Solihull Moors, Halifax Town versus York City, Hartlepool United versus Aldershot Town, Oldham Athletic versus Lauren's favourites, Dagenham and Redbridge, Southend United versus Tamworth, Woking versus Forest Green Rovers, Yeovil versus Maidenhead United, and Fylde versus Altrincham. I tell you what I've noticed, right? Quite unrelated, but it is quite impressive. I didn't realise how many teams ended in United that were currently competing in this National League season. I felt like I said United quite a lot, and that's quite impressive. But while we get sidetracked, so go on. I'll let you do your thing this week first. Is there any down that list that stick out for you for any particular reasons?
I mean, there's quite a lot, right? Or not least quite a lot of actual games, but it feels like this week all of the teams that are playing each other are relatively close together in the league. And that might just be me having a look at it really quickly, but I mean, obviously Barnet Rochdale at the top of the list is, going to be quite an interesting one because they're only 3 points apart. Rochdale have been having a decent form, won their last game. Barnet are just having a dip currently with 2 losses. That could be an interesting one. You mentioned earlier that Rochdale are currently a hard tie, and that's high praise coming from you. I think that could be an interesting game to keep an eye on. Obviously, you've already pointed out the Ebbsfleet Wealdstone game. I mean, again, they're both at the bottom. Wealdstone did just get a win, but on 6 points and 11 points from 15 games.
Yeah.
they're both having a shocker. And that could mean...
I think that game is extra big as well, considering if you look at that bottom four right now, they're the only two that you could really argue are kind of cut adrift, if you know what I mean. I mean, Boston obviously as well, with only 9 points, and that disappoints me a little bit because Boston started quite resolutely, started quite strongly, and they picked up some decent results in the early sort of maybe 5, 6, 7 games of the season, and they've fallen away. But I think this one, basically, if Wealdstone beat Ebbsfleet, then yeah, I think it's curtains for Ebbsfleet, to be honest.
Yeah, I think that's a massive game. And Ebbsfleet obviously at home, so they might feel like they can get something from this, but like I don't even know the last time Ebbsfleet won. It's been a while. It's been a while. Definitely not in the last 6.
I think it's probably. I think it's fair to say. I'm just going back to check and give you the answer to your question 1 second. But I think that's fair to say. It's probably a bigger game for Ebbsfleet than it is Wealdstone, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, Wealdstone, even though they're on 11, they're only 4 points adrift, right? And
Yeah.
like that, if they can get a win from anywhere, really, Ebbsfleet. So Wealdstone can get a win from anywhere and feel like they'll be good. Ebbsfleet need to be beating these bottom ones so that the bottom ones don't start creeping away from them.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? Like, Wealdstone can take the 3 points from someone further up the table and not feel like they're threatened by the teams below them. Whereas I feel like if Wealdstone win this, then that's a 6-pointer, like we say. It's just an extra big gap for Ebbsfleet.
Just to answer your question, if you were to guess, Lauren, when do you think Ebbsfleet's one and only league victory came this year?
Game day 3.
I don't know what that is in game days. I was hoping you'd give me a month or a date.
Sorry.
But
I'm gonna go September, early September.
You're not far away at all. It was September the 14th at home to Hartlepool United. At home to Hartlepool.
That was purely a guess, by the way. I had no reasoning for thinking that. I literally got up the calendar and went. So.
She'll tell me anything.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, at the time as well, I don't want to take the gloss off the one victory that they have, but at the time, that wasn't a massive result because Hartlepool at the time, and still are massively underperforming this season and are not far away from the relegation spots themselves. So, like, yeah, one win in 15 games is abhorrent, really, and I think it is must win for Ebbsfleet for sure. Another couple that stick out to me then, Lauren. So we have when my computer decides not to freeze, 1 second. We have Gateshead, Solihull, Moors, 2 teams already cemented in the playoffs, but I think that should be a really nice game of football, I would imagine.
Yeah.
That one that sticks out to me. Even Halifax, York, because I think you have consistent contrasting styles of football that can both be effective there. You know, I think York have been popping the ball around, playing some really attractive, beautiful football, and rightly so are second in the division right now and scoring goals of fun. But also we spoke about Chris Millerton's sort of resilient Halifax side, and they don't play the nicest of football, but it's effective and they get results. And apart from the Rochdale game on Tuesday night, they were in the playoffs up until that point. So both effective styles of play. So I think that'll be a really interesting game to watch. And then you have Southend, who are slowly beginning to pick it up a little bit. I would say obviously got a big win, a big late comeback win in the FA Cup, and then beat Rochdale away from home the following weekend. I don't actually know how they got on this week. What did their result end up this week. Let me have a look. So they got 0-0 versus Aldershot, which again keeps them unbeaten in this little cycle. So I think that'll be a really interesting one. And then also the other one I would point out is probably what else have we got here? Woking, Forest Green again. Woking are kind of falling into what we expect Woking to fall into in terms of just battling for safety and security after such a good start. But they've shown in early stints of this early season that they can compete and they can cause team problems. So maybe that's one to keep a loose eye on. But they're the main ones to me, really. So if I was to give you a game of the week this week, you can have. You know what? I'll give you the nice. I'll give you probably the biggest game on the card. I'll give you Barnet Rochdale. I think.
Okay, so Loz's game is.
See what you can make of that, and whether Barnet can get back on the positive results, or whether they're going to make it 3 losses from 3.
Yeah,
and then
in which case, I want to assign tie of the week to.
Okay, nice. Let's do it.
Can I put that for Ebbsfleet and Wealdstone? I just think it's not even just like a normal 6-pointer, which is already a big deal. It's like you say, you think that means that there's basically not like Ebbsfleet saying hello to the league below. Which, I mean, we're not saying that for definites, but I think it is just such a big game for both teams. Personally,
yes, I have to agree. I have to agree for sure. So that's that sorted. So for a recap, the Loz's game of the week will be Barnet versus Rochdale, and our joint tie of the week for next week is Ebbsfleet versus Wealdstone.
Perfect.
So moving on to everyone's favourite part of the podcast, and certainly our favourite part of the podcast, and certainly my favourite part of the podcast for the last couple of months. Shall we talk predictions?
Why would it have been your favourite for the past few weeks, but maybe not this week,
Aaron? Listen. She's giving it the big. This is what happens. See, I'm so happy this is happening right now because you can all see what I have to put her with. Yeah, she's like 17 points behind, and she's trying to give it the big licks. Do you know how embarrassing that is from you?
I'm 27 points behind. Give me the wins where I can get them. You know.
That's even worse. The fact that she even thinks she's remotely in my head and making me sweat is quite adorable, to be honest.
Look, you've just got to let me take my wins where I can get them. I always get told that I have no football knowledge, but I obviously had better football knowledge this week. So, you know, I've got to give what I've got. I've got to, you know, be thankful when it comes through.
Just for the record, I think Lauren has a lot of football knowledge, and I certainly think Lauren has more football knowledge on the National League than she did 2 years ago. So I would definitely like to take a lot of credit for that, to be honest.
Oh, shush. But yeah. So this prediction week, I have in fact won for the first time in however many weeks. Nice. So the gap for once.
Sorry, just before you go across predictions, I just realised in the space of us recording last week, I finally let you know. I let you know. Is that the right English? We'll roll with it anyway. I finally let you know what your my tattoo idea for you was going to be. Do you want to let the viewers and listeners know what my idea was and how you're feeling about that?
Yeah, can do. So, Aaron was basically gonna sign me, like his signature put on me, which I thought it was going to be way worse. Like I was scared. I don't know what you were gonna do.
Just think in like 10 years when my career explodes and I'm presenting match of the day, that could be worth an absolute fortune. Think of it like that, you know?
You know what? You're so right. Maybe I should just let you do it anyway. Didn't say that. Don't quote me on that.
There you go. I don't need to
quote me on that
anymore.
I reject that idea immediately. But yeah, it was, that's what it was. And if you know what, if it's still the case, I don't hate that as a tattoo idea.
You've heard it here first. She wants me to brand myself on her. You've heard it.
Okay, I did not say that, Aaron. I did not say that. Maybe I should...
Go on.
No, go on. No, go
what
on.
were you going to say?
I was going to say I should get a National League Natter themed one.
I think, to be honest, I think we'll probably... I'm down to get that anyway, regardless of the predictions. I think we should get a joint one of that anyway at the end of the season.
Me and you are matching tattoos, and when someone
yeah, why not?
You know what? Sure.
Yeah, we've locked in that. That is something
No,
that
we've not locked anything in. We've not locked anything in. Anyway, let's get back to the football.
If it's on the podcasting and it's on recording, it's locked in as far as I'm concerned.
Well, you know what? The listeners can decide whether it's locked in or not. And whilst they do that on Twitter, let us know on Twitter, guys, or X, or wherever else you listen to us. Let us know whether that's locked in or whether I'm safe for another day. Anyway, let's go through the predictions from last week, shall we not?
Let's do it.
So, in the Aldershot versus Eastleigh game, I predicted Aldershot to win 2-1. You predicted Eastleigh to win 2-1. Guess who won 2-1? Aldershot. So I pick up 3 points in the first one. In the Altrincham versus Gateshead game, we both predicted Gateshead to win. Gateshead did not win. It ended up being a 2-2 draw. So neither of us get points there. In the Boston-Halifax game, I predicted Halifax to win 2-0, and you predicted a 1-1 draw. Therefore, I get 2 points because I predicted that Halifax would win. Dagenham versus Fylde. Dagenham and Redbridge ended up winning that game 4-0. Neither of us predicted Dagenham to win, so we get no points there. Forest Green Rovers versus Braintree. I predicted a 1-0 win to Forest Green. You predicted a 3-0 win to Forest Green. Given I had a 1 goal difference rather than your 3, I get 2 points in this game. You get 1.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good. Currently, we're at 7 points for me and 1 point for you. At that point.
And I know how you felt last week when you got that one. At least it's only halfway through, and I know I've got a 2 points from somewhere coming up, so I'm not as bad as you last week, at least.
What with my singular point? Yeah, it was. You know what? But I don't have a singular point this week, so it's okay because in the next tie, Maidenhead United versus Hartlepool. Guess who predicted a 1-1 draw? Me. Guess what the score was? 1-1. So I get 3 points there. In the Solihull versus Barnet game, I predicted a 3-1 win to Barnet. You predicted a 2-2 draw. Solihull ended up winning that game 4-3. So neither of us get points there. Sutton versus Oldham. I backed Sutton in this game 2-0. You backed Oldham 2-1, unsurprisingly. Of course, you were going to back Oldham. But this week it paid off for you as Oldham won 3-1. So at this point in the scores, we're at 6.
10-4?
I'm on 10, you're on 3.
No, I'm on 4 now.
No, you're on 3. You got 1 point for the Braintree game, and you got 2 points for the Oldham.
Oh,
so on 3.
This is bad.
Yeah. Tamworth versus Woking ended up being a 3-2 win to Tamworth. Neither of us predicted Tamworth winning, so we get no points there. Wealdstone versus Yeovil. We both predicted that Yeovil would win, but we both went for just a 1-0 win there. So we both just get 1 point. York versus Ebbsfleet. We both went for a York win. I went for a 3-1 to York. You went 4-1. It ended up being 4-0, so you get 2 points there. I get just the 1. And finally, the Rochdale versus Southend. We both went for a Rochdale win, and Southend ended up winning that game, so there's no points there. So, our final scores from this week, or from the week just gone, was you got 6 points, and I got 12. So I closed the gap by 6.
So what's the overall score?
Our cumulative score before this game week was 70-97. I'm the one on 70. But now it's 82 for me and 103 for you. So there's a 21-point gap currently. But it's getting smaller and it's going to continue to get smaller. Hopefully.
I'm not, you know what, I'll take that. Just to see, for those that can't watch YouTube yet, to see the joy and adoration in Lauren's face as she was reading the results. Sometimes it makes the small losses worth it, you know, because I'm such a good person like that. Maybe I just take the loss to make her happy. Who knows?
That's so sweet.
But I don't like losing too long, so I think my ruthless, vicious streak is going to kick back in this week. And you've had your 1 week of feeling good, and it's now time to put you straight back down. Okay?
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you letting me win this week.
You're welcome. So, with that being said, can I go first this week, please?
Of course you can. Why not?
Thank you. So, Barnet, Rochdale now. Do I go with my heart or do I go with my head here? This is, for me, considering I think Oldham have Barnet in their sights, and I'm an Oldham fan. This is like me, like, I'm basically a lifeguard in this situation, and 2 of my ex-girlfriends are drowning. I've got to save one. I don't really want to save either, but I have to save one. So, like, this is the situation that I've got now. So I'm gonna go with my head, and I'm gonna say Barnet to win 2-1 at home.
2-1 at home. Nice.
Yes. And then next up we have Braintree, Sutton. I can't see anything other than a Sutton win, unfortunately, Braintree. I think you'll put up a good fight, though, and I think it'll be... Fuck it, we'll go 2-1 again. 2-1 Sutton.
2-1 Sutton.
Yeah.
Eastleigh,
Boston, 3-0 Eastleigh.
3-0 Eastleigh.
Yes. Ebbsfleet, Wealdstone. How do you like your apples, Lauren?
In a pie.
In a pie. So, you know what? I'm going to sit on the fence here, but also I'm going to make it an interesting sit on the fence, and I'm going to go... No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to sit on the fence. No, I'm not going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go for the unthinkable and say Ebbsfleet are going to shock the world and win 1-0.
Are they?
Come on, the Fleet. Next up, we have Gateshead versus Solihull Moors. I think this will end 1-1.
Okay.
Halifax versus York. I think York will win this 3-1.
3-1 to York?
Yes. Aldershot, Hartlepool, Aldershot. I think Hartlepool will win 1-0.
1-0 to Hartlepool.
My boys will beat Dagenham at home 2-1.
2-1 backing your boys again. I like it.
Of course. They're not giving me any reason not to back them at this point of the season, so why not? So Southend, Tamworth. I've just bigged up Southend going on a bit of a run, but I don't think Tamworth are mugs. 2-1 Southend. That's my favourite scoreline this week.
Well, it is, isn't it the most, like, mathematically the most got score in any given week?
I think so. I'm sure I read something like that before.
Which kind of makes sense, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Woking, Forest Green. I think Forest Green will win this. 2-0 away from home.
2-0 away from home.
Yeovil, Maidenhead will be 1-1.
Fence sitter.
Shut up.
Look, you say it to me, I have to say it back.
And Fylde will beat Altrincham at home 1-0 in the half 5.
Perfect. All right. I will do my predictions and then we will very quickly run through both of our predictions. Oh, Barnet Rochdale. You know what? I'm gonna do my old method and do games like scores that I think would be interesting.
Here we go. Here we go. This is what she's got herself back into the competition, and she's just gonna throw it away just to try and be different.
Yeah, of course. Right. I'm gonna go for a Rochdale win here. Do I think Barnet are gonna win on?
See, this is the problem I've got. Yeah, she does this, and then she doesn't believe any of the stuff she says. She says things with absolutely no conviction at all.
Well, I just don't know whether Barnet are going to lose 3 on the bounce, but I also think Rochdale are going to win. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go.
You just answered
Oh okay. I'm giving Rochdale the win. All right, 2-1 to Rochdale. Yes, I feel like you're dissing my choices here.
I'm so far in your head, it's untrue.
Shush. Right, I think Sutton are also going to win. I'm going to say 2-0 though. Let me make that more of an obvious 2. There we are. Eastleigh versus Boston. I'm going to say... I don't want to copy you, but also Eastleigh are going to beat Boston. I'm going to say it's going to be 3-1 to Eastleigh.
Nice.
Ebbsfleet, Wealdstone. I am going to say Wealdstone are going to win. I think Alex Reid is on a streak, and as much as I don't like the way he plays football, it seems to be working for him at his new place. So,
by the way, this is a message to Alex Reid. If you are listening to this, please don't come for either of us. Like,
no, really, I love you. I follow you on everything. I think you're a great guy.
I follow you on Instagram, and some of your Instagram lives have given me life. So yeah,
and you are a great player. Just sometimes, like in certain settings, you work better when the team works like in a certain way. Like I loved you at Stockport.
What has life become that we're having to suck up to a professional footballer that doesn't even know our names?
No, but I do like you, really, I promise. And I'm literally saying that I think you're on a good streak and I think that you're going to score again in the next game. So I hope I haven't jinxed you now. I'm going to touch wood.
W's in the chat.
Anyway, I'm going to say that Wealdstone are going to win 2-0. And at least one of those wins is going to be, one of those goals is going to be a Reedy goal. There you are. Solihull Gateshead. I think Solihull are going to win. I think they're on a good streak. I think it's going to be 2-1 to Solihull. Halifax, York. I also think York are going to win.
Listen, if you just wanted to team up one week and just do predictions together and just want to sack off the competition, just tell me. You don't have to copy, let's say, every result.
I'm not copying. I've changed with the Wealdstone one. That then I got all flustered and had to, back myself. So, but no, York are going to beat Halifax. They're not going to win. How many are going to win by? I've got so many 2-0s in this, but I'm just going to do another 2-0. Why not? Hartlepool, Aldershot. Look, realistically, I probably should back Hartlepool, but I haven't backed the Shots in a while. And whilst they're
You
struggling, I
literally
think they
backed the
might.
shots last week and they got your points again. You were already out about 10 minutes ago.
Did I? Oh yeah. Well, in which case, I'm going to back them again.
Oh my god. I'm practically doing our own predictions for her at this point.
No, you predicted a Hartlepool win this time. Aldershot, you're going to win 1-0. Oldham Daggers, Oldham are going to win here. They're going to win 3-0.
You've gone against your Daggers for me. Is that what you're doing? Whoa.
I can take it back. I can take it back.
Whoa, I am so in your brain.
Look, okay, you've told me to stop justifying them as much, and then this week you've made me justify every one, including getting me hot and bothered and going red and being all like, I promise. So, Tamworth are going to win against Southend.
Well, you didn't even give it an Oldham score. You just said we were going to win.
3-0. 3-0.
Oh, no.
I properly backed you there.
Right,
I backed
nice.
you more than you have. Tamworth are going to win 1-0. Woking, Forest Green Rovers. Forest Green are going to win this. They're going to win 3-1. Yeovil, Maidenhead. Yeovil are going to win this 2-0. And Fylde, Alty, I'm going to say it's going to be a 2-2 draw. And that's all of the games.
Go on, give us a side-by-side, top to bottom, Loz.
So, side-by-side, we've got Barnet versus Rochdale. I've gone for a 2-1 Rochdale win. You've gone for a 2-1 Barnet win. Braintree versus Sutton. We've both gone for a Sutton win. I've gone 2-0. You've gone 2-1. Eastleigh versus Boston. I've gone for a 3-1 win to Eastleigh. You've gone for a 3-0 win to Eastleigh. Ebbsfleet versus Wealdstone. I've gone for a 2-0 Wealdstone win. You've gone for a 1-0 Ebbsfleet win.
Sorry, that's the one that really hurts me. I'm gonna be so annoyed because I wanted to back the Fleet. I felt awful. I felt guilty for just writing them off completely, and I got into my own head.
So that game has been a bit of a tricky one for both of us then, I guess, in our predictions. Gateshead versus Solihull. I went for a Solihull win 2-1. You went for a 1-1 draw. Halifax versus York. We've both gone for a 2-0 goal difference. Both for York winning, but I went 2-0. You went 3-1. Hartlepool versus Aldershot. Both a 1-0 win, although I've gone for Aldershot winning. You've gone for Hartlepool winning. Oldham versus Daggers. I've gone 3-0 to Oldham. You've gone 2-1 to Oldham. Southend versus Tamworth. I've gone for a 1-0 win to Tamworth. You've gone for a 2-1 win to Southend. Woking versus Forest Green Rovers. I've gone for a 3-1 win to Forest Green. You've gone for a 2-0 win to Forest Green. Yeovil versus Maidenhead. I've gone for Yeovil winning 2-0. You've gone for a 1-1 draw. And in the final tie of the week, it's Fylde Alty. I've gone for a 2-2 draw, and you've gone for a 1-0 win to Fylde.
Nice. Very nice indeed. So, with that being said, that brings us to the end of Matchday 16 preview. I will be back, as always, on Sunday or Monday, depending on whatever time we get to record with the review of this game week. I will be back with Warren next Thursday. Is it Thursday or Friday today? It's Thursday. And in the meantime, rate us 5 stars wherever you can, wherever you listen. We've been National League Natter. This has been your Matchday 16 preview, and we will see you in a little bit.